All right, welcome to the press conferences for the second day of the Classic Sub-Junior Junior World Championships. Now, today, we've got the new world champion, Kyle Nowak, in the 66 kilo junior weight class, and his nutrition coach, Kedrick Kwan, up here. First of all, congratulations on your huge performance today, Kyle.
Thank you, Paul.
And first thing is, I just wanted to ask, you had a bit of a situation with your deadlifts in your deadlift opener today, but you overcame it. You showed like a true professionalism, the heart of a champion. You didn't let it phase you, and you came away with the gold medal for total, which was amazing. So first, I just want to say is how did you overcome the fact that you weren't able to take your deadlift opener out on the platform and you had to take it back in the warm-up room?
From the start, it was kind of startling to me. I wasn't too sure on how to handle it. I just kind of took it as it was and just made the best of it. So when I went back there to take my opener, I was fully confident that I could do it, but I proved that I didn't and I couldn't. So I'm sure I shocked everybody and just stressed everybody out. I stressed myself out, but I knew I was confident. I've done this multiple times in training, and I just knew if I was more patient, it would happen. So when I went out onto the platform for my second attempt, it went up, and it was all okay.
So that was like the little bit of adversity you faced. I'd say a lot of bit of adversity.
Yeah.
But tell us even like, what happened when you tried to pull it in the warm-up room. So, and also for people that don't know, what happened was that the attempt that we put in as a team was wrong, and then it made you basically be the first lifter in the flight when you were expecting to be the 14th lifter in the flight.
Yeah, I was expecting to be the last lifter, so I literally sat down, was just zoning in. I hit my last warm-up attempt, and I felt like I was in control, right? I was ready. And then all of a sudden, the entire warm-up room stared at me at the same time, and I was like, what is going on? And then it was like, you're up right now. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, 185? Are you injured? I'm like, no, it should be 285. They're like, nope, it says 185. And then all the coaches came. They're like, we got to go hit your warm-up in the back. It's like, okay. Or your first opener, you're like, it's okay. I was like, yeah. A little typo, a little miscommunication, but I think that's what happens in like world events. There's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of variables that you can't control, and you just kind of have to trust yourself in those moments and just prevail in the end.
Yeah, and I mean, I thought you just had like laser focus back there. I mean, I just kept going around saying like he's like a laser,
Yeah,
because you're
I think
so focused.
all the coaches were kind of worried, and I was like going to the coaches like, don't worry, I got this. I was like reassuring them. I was like, I know what I did wrong. I can fix it easily. Yeah. And yeah, so
speaking of what you did wrong, that part of the story is that so basically we timed up your opener with where it would have been in the flight at the end of the flight. You're gonna pull it in the back room, did everything the same way that you would do it on the platform.
Right.
And what happened when you went and tried to pull it?
I just lost all control. I felt a lot of pressure in the room. I could feel all the eyes on me. And I think I just kind of folded. I never been in like an event like that where something like that so suddenly happened, and then you have such high expectations. Kind of a good learning curve for me, and I'm glad I experienced it.
Yeah, I mean, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right?
Right, absolutely.
And then you kind of got the flub out of the way in the warm-up room, and then what happened when you went out onto the platform?
I just was staring at the weight. I felt the adrenaline. I felt the crowd. The crowd helps me out so much. I love just going out and getting everyone so excited and rowdy in a sense. So I felt that energy, and I just used that to my advantage and secured the second attempt. It was crazy because if I didn't get the second attempt, I would probably have to redo that for the third attempt. And if I didn't, then I would have bombed out. So I'd put like a lot of trust in myself and just told myself, this is going up, like, no issue. Literally just like a warm-up. And
it flew. I mean,
and it did. It felt good. The first attempt in the back, I kind of cramped up in my calves, and going to sit down in between those attempts, it kind of worried me, but I just kind of put it in the back of my mind. I was like, it's not an issue, like, just rehydrate a little bit, got some carbs going, and didn't seem to pose an issue on my second attempt.
All right, and so that was kind of the big drama of the day, the story that was kind of like, the big headline story of the day. But beyond that, I mean, that really sort of drew all the attention. But before that, going into the day, starting off with the cut in the morning and everything like that, how were you feeling coming into it?
Pretty confident that the recomp would go smoothly. Me and Kedrick, we pretty much ran the same protocol that I ran at Nationals, and it worked very well. So we just kind of implemented the same thing. Didn't really change much. Honestly, I think I had more food and more water going into this recomp than I did at Nationals, which was great. And the only thing that was terrible about that is I had to weigh in like an hour later than everyone, and I was just hungry and thirsty, But 8 o'clock hit, ran the protocol as expected, and recomped perfectly.
Kedrick, this one's for you. Kyle has peaked really well 2 times in a row now, coming into competition with his strength really on point. His training is obviously, he's doing something really right, and training seemed like the only thing that could ever really be a question mark would just be that he's so big for his weight class that, the cut could pose an issue and sap his strength. What are you doing with him to make sure that doesn't happen? Because it's worked out great both times.
I think a lot of the credit goes to the lifter who is really willing to be a part of the process. You have lifters who oh yeah, cool, I'm just going to do this, and then they just give me the bare minimum, and I can do with that, right? I'll deal with whatever you give me, right? But Carl goes beyond, I think throughout the entire time, there's only once where he didn't fill up his spreadsheet on time, once, and the reason why I remember it because it was once. If he did it all the time, I'd be like, yeah, this guy is horrible. I'd probably be like, yeah, just do the press conference yourself, man. I don't want to talk bad about you. But he was really involved in the process, communicates well, right? He tells me how he feels, right? We put in certain parameters that should he meet certain criteria, right? Cool. You eat slightly more on these days. You eat slightly less on these days, right? I think a big thing as well is when we first spoke, was understanding that his previous meet, even though he won University Worlds, was kind of not the best. So we kind of understood this is where he was in terms of he still won, but his performance was low. Yeah. So we wanted to ensure that we did avoid that at all costs. And from there on, we started building up. Nationals was the first time we worked together. I don't want to say that I'm this person that knows everything, but honestly, I would just say Nationals was kind of my best guess, right, based on what you're giving me. So if you give me the bare minimum, my ability to guess or predict things will be really, really low. But if you give me a lot of information that is useful, right, I don't need to know which episode of anime you're watching. I mean, it'd be nice, but it's not useful for the actual process. You give it to me, my ability to kind of predict things gets slightly better. And what Carl mentioned was that he's we just ran the same protocol as what we did in Nationals, because we know that it resulted in some success there. We try to replicate it. We try to improve on it, right? I'm well aware of the fact that Nationals is very different than traveling across the ocean. So Carl was probably, I think we started the cut just a tad lighter, right? So last night he was pretty light, but it's always going to be a case of, do you actually know what you end up weighing, right? And for me, it's if he starts slightly lighter, we just eliminate the possibility that Carl's going to miss weight, right? And if it's even lighter, let's just eat some stuff. Last night, because I knew he weighed in slightly lighter in the morning, I just okay, cool, we can eat a little bit more food, right, the night before. And
yeah, it was crazy because I was talking to some of the competitors that I was competing against, and I told them how many calories I ate yesterday, and they were like, I didn't eat a single thing. I was like, you're kidding me. I couldn't even do that. I had 2,800 calories probably yesterday, which was probably 400 calories above my maintenance. Yep. Yeah, so it was a lot of food, but it was low gut, low density food, and it worked out very well.
I mean, the thing for him is as well, is just knowing how his body responds, right? Cool, if you eat 400 calories a day, you probably won't gain weight, provided the thing is not like, you're not eating 400 calories of rocks. Let's say a rock has 1 calorie, right? You won't gain weight, you won't gain body tissue. And I know the amount of food when Carl eats, how long it takes for his body to, slightly increase his weight. So even for the last couple of weeks, right, we weren't cutting. I'm like, Carl, let's eat more, right? Yeah. I know your weight won't go up, like beyond a range where you can cut. So we're ensuring that every single session is going in well-fueled, right? He's going in feeling good. But like I said, he put in the effort, because he's not like, okay, cool, I'm just going to eat like Carl's Jr.'s or McDonald's or whatever. Like the things he eat, the calories that he come from the food, they're all like, like nutrient dense, right? Whole foods, right? And that allows him to really perform at his highest. So like I say, I provide the guidance, like the lifter's role is to kind of like respond to the best of their ability. And I think like Carl executed well in that sense, and it, made my job easy. And when it makes my job easier and I see him responding, I'll be like, okay, cool, I can just like take things up to the next step. Because if you can't give me 1, 2, and 3, I'm not going to bring you like to 7, 8, and 9, so.
Are there any special considerations for him being the last to weigh in and taking, which it seemed like it really took a long time. It was like a good over an hour.
It was an hour after weigh-in started, for sure.
Yeah, and so like Kedrick, are there any special considerations for that? And Kyle, like, what were you thinking? Like, because I know the cut is important for you. Were you starting to freak out a little bit, or with the timing of the weigh-in?
I didn't really think about like the process of weighing in, how long it would take. I woke up at 3 a.m. today, just absolutely wired out of my mind. So from waking up at 3 and not being able to eat or drink anything until 8, it was kind of hard. But I just kind of focused on like, I just visualized what was going to happen throughout the day, and it kind of took my mind away from like food and water. And then when the time came to weigh in, and then I was like, okay, let's eat. So.
I mean, for him as well, like, I just like, Carl, just go back to your room.
Yeah.
What are you going to do standing here around, everybody's in the corridor, sweaty, like hot.
People are spitting left and right.
Yeah, bunch of like, sub-juniors and juniors like talking some nonsense or whatever, early in the morning, So I'm like, you just go back, weigh yourself, right? Let me know what your weight is. I'm like, we don't really need like the body weight advantage. We need to be the strongest on the day. So I'm like, let's just drink up slightly, right? Let's just drink up slightly, get the rehydration process started earlier, and that's all we did, right? So essentially we think of the process of anything. When you perform a cut, when you're actually not eating food, you're actually like putting your body through a certain amount of stress. The quicker we can get you out of that stressful state, the better it is, right? So for Carl, like, let's try, I'm not gonna get you to get 500 mils or 600 mils in, or you're not gonna eat something, but let's kickstart the process early. And I specified, this is what you're gonna drink, right? You have this right now, because I think that is the biggest priority and the most important thing for him to consume. And then after the weigh-in, I'm like, dude, don't play with your phone, whatever. Finish this right now. You already like depleted for like X amount of hours, so you're still trying to play catch up. The good thing is that Carl doesn't, he opens quite heavy on the squat as well, so he's not like one of the first, and that kind of helps as well. And I think that is important in the sense that the squat is kind of like a confidence builder. Right? If you go in the squat, you feel weak, and you start missing, it messes your head. And people who tend to miss their third squat also tend to miss their third deadlift. So we want to, like, I told Carl, right? I told him I don't do your programming, but the goal is just to like, get 6 out of 6. Obviously the bench, your foot slipped, that's unfortunate, but the squat was like phenomenal. When I saw him squatting his first and second, I'm like, yep, you definitely have that 227.5 kilos or 500 pounds.
I want to switch to the squat really quick. I was so not confident in my squat coming into this meet. It was actually crazy. Like, I hit a squat PR single like 4 weeks out, and then after that, I kind of fell off. Felt like my form was off and everything. So coming in, even on my last training session, I was like, I'm going to drop my opener. I'm going to drop my attempts and everything. I just wasn't feeling confident. And I ended up hitting a goal of mine for like a year and a half, which was like a 500-pound squat. And I was like, that is absolutely crazy to me.
I told you you're going to hit 500 pounds when I messaged you.
I was so
I was
confident.
like, dude, you're going to hit 500 pounds. Right? So I like, that is what you're going to hit, 500 pounds.
Yeah, so that was probably one of the highlights of my day, was the 500-pound squat.
Yeah, I mean, I remember you telling me before the day started that you were really feeling strong.
Yeah.
You were really feeling good. If you were nervous about your squat at all, you didn't show it.
Yeah, I told John, I was like, squat's feeling locked in today. Like, I don't know what's happening, but I think it was just a huge mental barrier coming in that it didn't really pose a threat.
Kyle, you also went to an international meet last year.
Mm-hmm.
Could you just kind of describe what you learned? Oh, did you hear any of that? No, sorry. Kyle, so you went to an international meet last year. Could you just describe what you took away from that meet and helped you in preparation for this meet, and maybe just any differences from that meet to this meet, just from the setup, and then also just your personal approach?
Sure. So I went to University Worlds back in November, and it was my first time traveling overseas to compete in powerlifting. At the time, I was doing my nutrition by myself, doing my water cuts by myself, and I thought I had it under control. So I was going into the meet, doing all of that by myself. Programming, I still had my coach, so programming was still pretty good. I felt pretty good into the taper week, but going overseas, not following up on nutrition, I didn't eat as much, I didn't drink as much water, and I wasn't able to recomp. So I didn't have the meet that I wanted. The numbers that I hit were numbers that I hit years ago, and just seeing that, it was kind of like demoralizing in a sense. It was kind of like something needs to fix, something needs to change. I just needed to take a step back and see what I could do. So the first thing I thought of was, I'm going to get a nutritionist, someone who could just tell me how much to eat, when to eat, and just kind of manipulate macros left and right to help me build. So after that meet, a couple months later, I talked to John Downing, which is one of the Ohio State powerlifting coaches, and he referenced Kedrick here. He was like, reach out to Kedrick. He's a good friend of mine. He'll take care of you. So I reached out to Kedrick. We hopped on a call. Literally after the call, we started working together right from the start. This was probably in February of this year, which was the time I started prepping for nationals. He's like, what are your goals? How much are you eating? Gave him the bare minimum knowledge at that point, and he just took that and we ran with it. Went to nationals. I built muscle while maintaining my weight, and I got stronger, so that was a plus. Another thing was my mentality. I didn't really focus on my mental state when I was competing at Worlds at the time. I was not that confident as a lifter, and just taking and experiencing what happened at that Worlds and then progressing on it throughout nationals and at this Worlds, it's a lot.
And Kedrick, this question's for you. What specifically got you into nutrition, but I guess maybe with the powerlifting focus? Did you hear that?
Yeah, so I think a big part of that is twofold, right? I maybe this is for all the juniors lifting. I'm kind of like an old person. I think that doing things that you're only passionate about, right, is overrated, right? Sometimes you just chuck into the position. You have to be good at what you do, right? You end up liking the things you're good at, right? Kyle loves deadlifting because he's freaking a monster in his deadlift, right? So I was kind of like on the journey of trying to find topics for my PhD, and so I thought, okay, cool, let's look at what powerlifters do to cut and make weight. I was exploring other topics, and I went to Worlds in Calgary in 2018. That's my first Worlds, and I met a lot of people, right? And the previous coaching company I worked for, TSG, helped me, right? My supervisor, Dr. Eric Helms, just put me in touch, right? I was just surveying world-class powerlifters, back in the day, 2018, right? People like Bryce Lewis, Mikey Davies back in the day when he was still junior, and people started calling me Dr. Weight Cut, right? Because you're doing a PhD and then you're doing weight cutting, so I'm the name kind of stuck, and it wasn't really the role I wanted to embrace because that wasn't kind of like the PhD topic I wanted to explore. But the opportunity kind of like sprung up onto me. And naturally what happened was in 2019, I helped Taylor Atwood win, and I did. That was the first year working together with him, being his nutritionist, and he did really well. That was kind of like one of the highlights of his career before he became like the GOAT. That was when he started being like, people started noticing like, oh, this is Taylor on the rise. So I was part of that process, and people started reaching out, and I like I said, I do have interest in that area. I'm not like, oh, this is not like the greatest passion of my life. It's not. But I'm like, people need help, right? I think I'm decent, I'm good at it. So I just went down the rabbit hole, right? Started from there on. I was just chucked into the role, and I found like there's a hole to fill, right? Like basically, not many people do this, and then it kind of like evolved into my actual PhD study, right? So I actually am doing this for my PhD. This is an area of research, and so that's kind of like how I was put into the role. And then the thing that I think deep down in me that is kind of like more important is kind of like why you're doing what you're doing, because weight cutting is it's an area where it could potentially be harmful, right? Like messing up people's weight, right? Like there have been cases where like fighters do extreme cutting and then like they die, like it's great. Like powerlifting is 2 hours, at least for the IPF is 2 hours, so people don't go to the extreme. But I think of it from this perspective, is just that if I am I do powerlifting coaching as well. So if I'm like a really horrible powerlifting coach, I get someone injured, they might be able to pick up another sport, right? Do something else, right? They could like even if I completely cause somebody to be paralyzed from the waist down, they can still do bench press and they can probably go into the Olympics faster. Not that I recommend that, but if I mess someone's nutrition up, right? They could probably have eating problems and eating disorder for the rest of their lives. So I just think about it from the perspective is that the burden of like handling someone's nutrition is really heavy, right? It's probably heavier than the weight that I would ever lift in my life. So that's kind of like why I do what I do, and I think it's really important. When you speak to someone about their food, you're not just talking about these macros. You're talking about how they react to a certain type of food. You try to understand how they eat and all of that. So that's what got me into things, and that's probably the reason why I'm still doing what I'm doing. So yeah, I hope that kind of like gives a rough understanding.
Kyle, this question is for you. It's a two-part question. So being with you in the back as you were preparing, a word kept coming up a few times that we both used. And the first part of the question is, the word juicy was described how you felt, and you knew that you were ready to go when you were feeling juicy.
Yeah.
Describe that to the people that don't really know what that feels like.
So for those of you who do like a low gut diet where your carbs are cut from you and you feel depleted, and then you start incorporating a ton of carbs in your system immediately and you just blow up and you feel pumped essentially. You feel juicy and you feel ready and you feel strong. That's how I felt.
And my observation for the people who were not in the back was that both of Kyle's quads were road maps of veins. When he started feeling juicy,
yep,
he looked like he was about to step on stage and do a bodybuilding show.
There was probably about like 200 grams of carbs rushing through the quads.
Yeah. I knew you were ready. I didn't know if it was for bodybuilding or powerlifting, but you were ready for something.
Both for sure.
And the second part of the question is, how did you know before you walked out to do what was really your second attempt, but it was actually your first attempt on the platform, how did you know that you were ready in the back before you even approached that door? Because there was a point when I don't think you were ready, and then there was a distinct point when you were ready. How did you know you were ready?
This kind of goes back to my collegiate nationals deadlift 2 years ago when I had the opportunity to pull 640 pounds for the win and for the national record. I remember my second attempt at that meet was 600 pounds, and my third attempt was 640. So this was a massive jump. My second attempt was an RPE like 9.5, 10, and I didn't think I was ready for 640. I remember just kind of muscling up the courage and confidence to actually pull that. And today I kind of applied the same knowledge and experience to that pull. Was just 110% confidence in myself and my abilities. So that's kind of how I knew it was going up either way. So just kind of past experience, just doing it before, and just do it again in the future.
Kyle, the coaching staff and all of us that were back there, were extremely upset with ourselves about the whole mishap with your attempt. But what could you say about that coaching staff that was with you back there today?
Honestly, so I haven't been handled by any of these people before, and it didn't really scare me. I knew that they've had success in the past, so I put my trust in them, and they exceeded all my expectations. They took care of me. They did all my warm-up selection for me. They loaded everything. They honestly made it a stress-free day. Even after the mishap with the deadlift, it didn't even faze me. Like I said earlier, I went up to them. I was like, don't even worry about it, guys. Like, it's going to happen.
And specifically, what was Tom saying to you before you went out there on your final deadlift?
Tom was saying some good words. It was very special, and it's something I'll remember forever.
That's amazing. Yeah, one more question over here from Dalton. Bodie.
Bodie.
This being your last Junior Worlds, what is your thoughts coming into Open Nationals, and what are your expectations and what are your preparations coming into it?
It's a good question. I haven't really thought that far in the future. I just kind of was very focused on this meet. I knew it was my first and only Worlds event, so I kind of wanted to just dedicate my entire life to this event. And I think after what happened and everything that unfolded, I think there are some good plans in the future, and we'll just have to see how that unfolds.
He only thinks of sending it, That's literally before even competing.
We're gonna soak it in for a little bit.
I think it'll be a pretty good battle next year.
Yeah.
Open category.
Either 66 or 74, we'll see. I've
Stay
kind of
with-
realized
stay
I'm
with
too tall
66.
for 66.
Stay with 66.
I like 66. I'll make the sacrifice. I'll work with Kedrick. We'll just get the job done.
There's still things that we can do. So
There are. Bench is very mental with me right now. I just got to lock in with bench. But ask me.
So now, after already breaking the open record, do you feel like you already have that spot if you were to transition to open?
It does give me some hope. I know there's some competitors in the 66 class that have done some crazy things in this past year. And honestly, with powerlifting as it is right now, with how popular it's getting on social media, there's all these upcoming people you see, coming from the left and the right. You never know what you're going to see. So if it becomes too competitive, I'll just make it more competitive.
Awesome. Are there any other questions for Kyle? Kyle, did you overall, you won the world championship, and that's what you set out to do. Are there any takeaways that you're going to look to try to improve upon going forward?
Yeah, I'm in a big mental battle with bench right now. Past couple of meets, I've only gone 2 for 3 on my attempts, so there's a lot of work with there. I think strength-wise on bench, there's not much more I could gain out of it just because of my leverages. But I think after seeing what I could do on squat and deadlift, I think I could put those numbers up a little bit and just keep building those. there's still work to do. There's always work to do. I've been doing this for 5 years, and every single day I go to the gym, I always find something else to work on.
All right. If there's no other questions, that was a great answer, Kyle. If there's no other questions, then you have one, Alex?
Oh, no, sorry.
All right. Then we're going to let you go. Congratulations on your
Thank you.
amazing performance today.
Thank you.
You put on a huge show. You've got a great story to tell now, and we'll look forward to see what you do next.
Thank you.
Okay, now we are back with our other 66 kilo world champion, the sub-junior phenom, Danny Harris. So Danny, first of all, congratulations on your huge performance today. You really showed out. You really proved all the doubters wrong.
Thank you.
And you really showed up big time with your squat to start off with, breaking the world record. And you also had Kyle back there with you, and Kyle specifically requested to come back up here and sit here with you and talk about how you guys had a little bromance going on in the back.
Yeah, I just want to first say, like, this kid is a phenom. Like, he's the strongest 16-year-old I think I've ever seen, and I think he's got a really bright future in the sport. Like, I was just, even because he would go first, and he'd be, like, hitting all of his attempts, and I'd be warming up, and I would just be watching the big screen. I'm like, this guy's an animal. And then you'd hit his attempts, and you'd come back, and you'd be like, yo, what's good? And then we'd both have music going, and we'd be, like, dabbing each other up and high-fiving each other, and, like, everyone was looking at us, but, like, our energy was top tier. It was great.
That's what it takes to win. You need the energy with it.
Yeah.
You need to have the mindset.
It was all about mindset today.
Yeah. So, Danny, did Danny finish with the biggest squat
Yeah.
of anyone in the 66s?
The juniors, too. Yeah, he beat,
Yes.
I think, the
I beat the
biggest junior was,
sub-juniors.
like, what, 507?
Yeah, and I ended with, I think, 509.
Yeah, or
So
something like
just
that.
barely, but I beat all the sub-juniors and juniors today.
That's amazing, man. So why was your squat feeling so good today?
To be honest, it wasn't feeling the best. I've hit more in training, about 10 kilos more. But today I just really locked in, even though I wasn't feeling the best, and executed, and it worked well.
And so tell us, like, did he open with the world record squat today?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. And then you went 3 for 3.
Yep.
And then what'd you do on bench?
I went 3 for 3 on bench. It wasn't my best performance, but it was enough to pick up bronze in bench and improve my total a lot.
All right. And then go ahead and take us through deadlift.
Deadlift was going very well through my first and second attempts. My third attempt, I ended up tearing 2 calluses on my right hand, which caused me to lose my last attempt on grip, but I still ended up getting bronze in deadlift and first overall.
That's amazing, man.
Phenom. Crazy.
You had an absolutely ridiculous performance today, Danny. What would you say was the biggest change, specifically on your squat, that you made, just in the last few months coming into this competition?
Well, I would say in training, I used to not always lock out my knees or hit depth, and that was always a problem, but I started to really dial that in, make sure every set was to comp legal depth. I had people watching. I made sure that my knees were always locked out, and that really helped.
And then what did it mean to you to walk away from the session with the biggest squat, beating all the juniors, beating Kyle Nowak,
He
the
literally
superstar?
came up to me. He's like, hey, man, I think I out-squatted you today. I was like, yeah, Of course you did. You're crazy.
It meant a
course.
lot. I've been working on my squat a lot, and throughout this prep, there were a few lifters from other countries that were talking a lot of smack on my squat, saying I wouldn't be able to pull through, that I'd bomb out, and it felt great knowing that throughout everyone I had the best squat.
That's amazing, man. What are you doing in training to make your squat blow up like it is?
He's self-coached, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just do a lot of about RP 9 to 10 sets of 6 to 10. Just about 4 or 5 times a week, I just squat extremely heavy for a lot of reps. Accessory-wise, I just do a lot of RDLs and pause squats, and that's all it took.
That is really amazing, my man. Really, really
Sounds
amazing.
so simple.
So simple.
So
Kyle,
simple.
why don't you do that?
I might.
Kyle, do you want to also just, further elaborate just on Danny's performance and how amazing it was out there and what it was like to be there, just kind of witnessing like this 16-year-old like savant of powerlifting?
Yeah. I never met Danny before this meet, and the first time I met him was at the airport in Washington, or at Dulles, Washington Airport, and the energy was insane. Like, I just drove 6 hours, and this guy showed up, and he's like, "Yo, man, are you ready? We're gonna kick some ass." I'm like, "Okay, let's go." So then, like, the entire couple past days, me and him have been talking, fired up. I was like, there was times where I was kind of chill and needed a little bit pick up, and Danny provided that, and he just showed up and showed out, and I knew he would because he was very confident, and that's all it takes.
Yeah, extremely confident Danny for sure, and always positive and uplifting
Very
as well.
positive. It was fun with you back there.
It was the perfect energy.
It really was. It was a good balance.
Same with you. When my energy fell down, you always brought that up. It was the perfect level, exactly what I needed to win the meet, what you needed to win the meet.
Yep. It was a team effort.
Daniel, could you just describe your, obviously you had a good meet, but maybe just kind of describe how this international meet, just how exactly it felt different for you.
Well, my one big factor was actually having people that were like coming within 40, 30 kilos of me. Before that, I never had anyone that close. But here there were people that were like within, 30 kilos of me, trying to make big jumps for that. But like at prior national and local meets, people were anywhere from 190 kilos away. So like having the people feel a little bit closer to where I was, like really helped me center up.
That's valid. It's valid.
Daniel, also, you're a talkative person. How did you talk to your competition a lot during the meet?
I did. During the competition, I was always going, after attempts, I'd dap them up. I'd take pictures with them. Like, I'd tell them, like, it was great that they were there. Like, no matter what, everybody there, even though I'm competing against them, I love it all. It's a great energy. It's very uplifting. But either way, there can only be one champion. And, like, even though it's all positive, I knew that, like, I'm friends with them, but I have to win.
I like it.
I want to add to that. When I would go to meets, I would never really talk to my competition. I would kind of talk to them after the meet. But seeing Danny do what he was doing with the other competitors kind of made me feel like, okay, it's kind of okay to do it. So I was actually talking to all the guys who were coming up to me in my weight class too, and just, small talk left and right. And Danny's setting a good example for me.
But no, it was great. Like, even from weigh-ins, I'd talk to them, discuss how weigh-ins are going, how much they need to cut. That really just, like, helped build, like, kind of the aspect and, like, where it will be at for the meet. And then especially during warm-ups, some competitors, including myself, like, feeling a bit of pain, like, just, like, talking through that helped a lot, just, like, understanding where each other was at. And that helped a lot with coaches setting openers, as a lot of openers were changed as people like myself and others discussed it with their coaches after speaking with them.
Danny, this question is for you, obviously. I had the pleasure of working with you in the back and helping you warm up, etc., which I enjoyed immensely. When we first started warming you up in squat, it took me a good solid 5 or 6 minutes to figure you out a little bit. And I realized that not only do you like talking to people, but you're a big mover. You like to move around in between your warm-ups. You like to dance in between your warm-ups. I noticed you were wearing your headphones all the time. You would hand them to me right before you went. I'm thinking, because I did hear you singing some of what you were listening to, it seemed to me that one of your meet favorites had to be Kendrick Lamar. Am I correct?
I would say that is a very good song for especially last warm-ups. It's I'd say Kendrick is very good from I'd say first to last, but once he gets time to podium, I would say I prefer a more ESTG and Youngboy.
Gotcha.
But yes, it helps to move around. Like, I know a lot of lifters, you see them sitting there all quiet. I need to hype myself up. I do that in the gym between sets. You know, I move around. I just like have to really feel the song, whatever I'm listening to, and vibe to it, and that builds the energy for me.
Well, I think it worked well, because I figured out exactly how far to let you walk, how far was too far, keep you corralled in a little bit, and I think it worked really well. So I enjoyed that aspect of it, and hearing you rap, even though there was no music, it was fun hearing you rap.
Well, I appreciate that.
What was the song? What was the song?
So for every last attempt, I would typically do house arrest things by Youngboy, and typically when I get to first attempt, it's more of a Everybody Shooters 2 by EST, which is I would say all-time favorite song, great to hype me up. As I get farther into the meet, you know, more focused, second attempt, it's usually Under the Sun, which is a beautiful song. And then third attempts, it just varies. But a lot of it, I would say, would just be more stuff like Fish Scale and Outside Today by Youngboy, which really just gets me in the mindset to go and break world records by 20 kilos.
But what was the Kendrick song?
I have so much Kendrick in my playlist, I don't even know. It just comes on and I vibe.
If I may, because I had way too many opportunities.
Oh, I remember.
So I was lucky enough to get to handle you in the back, and you were handing me your phone before your attempts, and if I may, it was Family Ties by Kendrick Lamar.
Yep.
That you were bopping to.
Yeah, I would say that really does get me in the zone, just like, once it hits the drop, it's just, I don't know, it just gets me in the zone, gets me connected, grounded, centered, and I just feel ready to go and execute.
You need that sometimes.
Every single lift.
Every single lift.
And while I have the mic, if I may, are there any moments that stand out to you today, and what is the moment that you remember most from today, or that you'll sit with?
I would say probably my final squat, as that kind of like, to me, solidified my spot as winning, because so throughout this prep, there were a few lifters that were talking constantly, people saying, you know, thinking I wouldn't do well in squat, bomb out, miss weight, or wouldn't be able to squat very heavy. So once I hit that 230.5 as a final world record, that just solidified my confidence and put me in the spot for the world record total, which just gave me the confidence and the mindset I needed to go and execute everything perfectly.
That's awesome, Danny. You did really great today. What do you think, beyond just the competition, your performance on the platform today and everything, what was the best part of being here at these World Championships?
Definitely like the energy in the crowd, like going up, you know, not only hearing American people, but hearing people from different countries. I mean, England, Netherlands, France, just hearing all these other people, all these accents cheering for me, wanting me to succeed after meeting them and interacting with them for even like very short amounts of time. I'd say like all the friends I made before the competitions and them cheering me on really did help with it. It just felt good to know that like even though I was competing against their countries, they were still there rooting for me, hoping that I would do well. Overall, I think powerlifting is like, as a sport, it's very connected. like even though you're competing against each other, you want to win. It's still like very connected. Everybody wants the others to do well.
So today, after Carl's done, you know, I think they were ordering burgers and eating chicken, all right, chicken tenders. You came up to me and said like, "Are you my nutritionist? Like, what do you mean by that?" And maybe you can let us know a little bit. What's your nutrition like? You know, because typically the younger lifters, they don't tend to eat as well. So I'm just curious.
Yeah, my nutrition this prep was not too great. There were I'd say pretty much every week I would forget to eat for 1 or 2 days, and I wouldn't eat much as I would be at school, work, then the gym, or other orders, but just school, work, and gym. So my nutrition wasn't great, but as I started to come in, I started to focus on it, when I came here, I ended up weighing in at about 52 kilograms. So the night before, I ate a lot to get up to 65, I weighed 62, then got up to 65. I would say I'd like to eventually hire someone to focus on my nutrition, as that is something I struggle with eating enough and maintaining weight. But yeah, I heard a lot of good reviews. I figured I'd set up something and speak to you.
Yeah, I guess this, I just have to riff a little bit on the Kendrick point. Being someone as young as you are, and achieving success. I think the wise philosopher Kendrick Lamar would say it, and you're not hit. Kendrick's not here, but you hear from Kendrick. Be humble.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Danny, specifically, what did you weigh in at? Wasn't it 62 something? 62.5 or?
My original was low 60s, and then I don't know. They changed it to 65. I have no idea what I weighed in at.
At one point, it was 61.9 or
yeah,
something.
at one point it showed in below 62 kilograms, and then it showed in at 65. Either way, I was the lightest in my flight, which presented a great advantage, as if I needed to tie a weight, I would have the lowest weight, which did help me in deadlift, as I tied my deadlift with multiple others, but as I had the lowest weight, it was awarded to me.
Yeah, what medals do you have there?
What
all did you get?
So right here I have gold for squat, as I broke the squat record by 20.5 kilograms. Oh, that was nice. I have silver in bench. Bench went pretty poorly for me, as I only hit 140 today, which it ended up with 2 reds, but it got overturned, so it counted. But in training I hit 155. I was quite disappointed, but it was still all right. I got silver in deadlift, which again, very disappointed, as I failed 240 on grip, as I had a few callus tears. In training, I pulled up to 245, 247. So I was really hoping for more, but it's all right. And then I had overall gold medal, which is for total, which I believe was I broke the record, but I believe my lead was by around 20 or so kilos, maybe a little bit more.
That's an amazing performance, Danny. This was your first time on the international platform. I remember the first time that I met you on Instagram, you told me that you were going to be the 59 kilo world champion in the open class. And now that you're a 66, has your goal changed to becoming the 66 kilo open world champion?
Yeah, my overall goal is before I leave sub-junior, so before I turn 19, I would like to win an open 66 kilo meet, especially I would like to take Jonathan Garcia's squat world record and the total world record, which I know will take a lot of training, but I still have 2 years, and I think that it will be very plausible as if I stay uninjured and start to focus my nutrition in, my sleep in, and take in every factor into account and just make sure everything is very undeniable, everything is perfect.
And you just mentioned Jonathan Garcia, are there lifters in the 66 kilo weight class that you look up to?
Yes. I mean, one is I look up to Kyle. I've been looking up to him since my first nationals. When I saw him training, training, it was just crazy, seeing what someone so light could do. So that inspired me. Panna, of course, that people that have seen my earlier meets, or a lot of them, have seen I open quite heavy, which that inspired me. I started to train somewhat like him. Jonathan Garcia, of course, I'd like to take the squat world record. I respect him very much, and like I really look up to him, but still I want to beat him one day. Same with Eddie Berglund. Like he's someone that I've looked up to throughout my entire career, but eventually, and within the next year, I'd like to take his bench record.
All right, well, that's amazing. Are there any other questions for Danny Harris, the young phenom, 16-year-old world champion? Yeah, one more? No? Okay. All right. So, Danny, congratulations once again on your amazing performance. We're extremely proud of you. I'm sure that you've inspired many, many people with your performance today. I'm sure the 66-kilo open lifters are on notice, and even Kyle is on notice. And
Yeah, I'll see you soon.
Yeah, I'll see you soon.
2
I'll
years
see you, yeah.
on the open stage.
Yep. We'll see you there.
And so, congratulations once again, and thank you for representing your country so well. And with that, we'll let you go. That scared me. Next up, we've got Kelsey Scanovan, 57-kilo junior lifter. And first of all, congratulations on your performance today.
Thank you.
It wasn't the performance that you wanted, especially on squat. You faced a little bit of adversity there. But you kept saying coming into this that you were just happy to be here, that you worked so hard to get to this. Do you want to just elaborate on your whole motivation and inspiration for being here today?
Yeah, so that goes way back. So I started powerlifting when I was 16, so that was 6.5 years ago. And I played softball my whole life. Whoop, am I good now? I played softball my whole life, but I was never a stud. And coaches would cut me down left and right. And I knew I needed something to make me feel confident. So I started lifting a ton, and I didn't know what I was doing at first, and I got pretty injured and sick, and that's another story. But I was 16, scrolling on Facebook, and I saw an ad for powerlifting. I'm like, all right, let me show up. So had no coach, no equipment. I didn't know the rules. But I just fell in love with the sport that day, even though I watched someone poop himself. And it was a crazy, crazy day. Missed all of my benches because my feet were dangling in the air. But just the support I felt from the community, I was like, I'm sticking with this sport. And it's been everything to me since that day. And I've been trying to make it to Worlds, and I made it here. So for that, I couldn't be more thankful.
That's a great story. And did you enjoy your performance today? Did you enjoy the whole experience of being here at the World Championships?
I enjoyed the whole experience, and I think my squats will haunt me for forever. That was the hardest way I could have started the day, but I'm proud of how I bounced back.
Yeah, we're also proud of you for how you bounced back. So go ahead and just take us through the day. Tell us about what was going on with your squat.
Yeah, so I felt decent warming up. And Vin, my handler, he told me, hey, we're going to open lighter than expected. And at first I was like, what? Why? That throws off my plan. But I was like, you know what? He's here for a reason. Let me trust this guy. I missed the first attempt on depth. That was all me. Second attempt, I was like, all right, here I am squatting this weight again. So I sunk it. I questioned my depth. So I did a double bounce, which obviously you can't do. And I knew it right away. They took the bar off my back. And I told Vin after my second attempt, all right, before I was going into my third, I said, raise the weight. All right, I'm capable of more than this. And he goes, no. And I fought him a little bit. I said, I'm capable of more. I squatted 315 in prep. I'm not squatting that weight again. Let me go up. And he goes, no. So I walked up there, and I was absolutely tunnel vision. I was not going to fail that lift. Because if I failed it, I wouldn't have been on the board. And you can't have that. So, yeah.
So then, after you hit that final squat, did you make up with Vin after that?
I was never mad at him. I disagreed at first, but at the end of the day, the opener knows best, So I trust him, and he helped me so much throughout the day that I was never mad at him. I couldn't be.
And then how did the rest of the day unfold with bench and deadlift?
I shifted my mentality so hardcore after that because I started off awful, and I told you I've been trying to get here for so long. And like this right here might sound kind of deep, but I thought back to how sick I was growing up. And I didn't have a lot of hope for anything in middle school and high school, and just it's a scary place I was in. So I told myself, do it for her, do it for that girl. Because like powerlifting is what helped me get out of that place. And I said, like, I've been trying to get to Worlds, like, I'm not disappointed in that girl. I said, I'm gonna do it for all the people back home that are watching. I had such a fan club. Like, both my gyms, my family, my friends, like, that meant everything. So I was like, I'm gonna put on a show. I'm gonna be the Kelsey that I know how to be. And that's crazy. I'm insane. I'm crazy. So, yeah.
Yeah, so then what did you end up doing on bench, and what did you do on deadlift?
Dude, I don't know what happened, but I've never been that zen in my life. Like, even when I'm going to bed at night, I'm, like, not that zen, but I was like, I am here. I'm on the world stage. I'm going to smash all my attempts. And I walked up there, and I was peaceful, and I did it. And I didn't celebrate till my third attempt because I was like, I don't deserve to celebrate until I smash that weight I've been chasing.
And what weight was it?
So it was 75 kilos, 165 pounds, which it's not that amazing. I've hit it in prep 10 times. Thank you. I've hit it in prep about 10 times, but I failed in my last 3 meets. I just lose tension at the bottom, but I'm like, squats were absolute garbage. I'm not losing tension at the bottom. I'm gonna nail it, and I did. Then I jumped up and down.
Yeah, that was great. And then take us through deadlifts as well.
Yeah, so I'm always crazy for deadlifts. So I kept the same mentality where it's like I've got all these attempts, but I was feeling the music. And before deadlifts, I was talking to Vin, and I almost changed my approach a little bit to be like, hey, like, I'm just chasing a PR. Maybe I go lower on my second attempt. Maybe I go lower on my third attempt, but still go for the 5 kg PR. We talked a lot, and then I was like, whoa, hold up, no. I was like, let me stick to my plan. I'm pulling that 352 because I failed that in prep. And I wanted to walk away with a big win. So I was like, let me tie my PR on my second attempt, full send the third attempt. I've been telling everybody I'm full sending, and I stuck to that, and I'm so glad that I did.
That's really an awesome story, Kelsey. It's a real inspiring story of overcoming adversity. Meg, this is Meg Carey, by the way. I forgot to introduce her at the beginning. She's one of the assistant coaches on the team, and she was there handling all of the lifters that were going today that we've spoken to so far. And Meg, you were there to witness the whole situation on squat and to see how she overcame, how she changed her mindset going into bench. What was the thing that you were the most proud of for Kelsey today?
Just watching her process. Oh, first of all, let me apologize. I have no voice. I love y'all so much, and I've already lost my voice with the amount of passion that I've had for each of you. But anyway, to the point. Just understanding, being an athlete myself, and understanding how difficult it is to overcome a situation like that. You know, to be on a world stage and to have your day start like that, it takes a lot out of you, and to be able to step back and reset and to finish the way that you did is incredible.
Thank you.
And I will forever be impressed by that, and it's one of the things that, you know, I will remember for the rest of my life. And I think it takes a lot of guts, it takes a lot of maturity, and I think it says a lot about who you are as an athlete and what you're capable of and how far you will go in this sport.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You kept me so sane back there. Like, I'm hard to tame, but this girl did everything right.
I tried my hardest.
Like, slapping me just the right amount, like, getting me out of my head, like, a little bit of tough love, but I am beyond thankful for Meg. She's been like my mom this trip. She's been, like, taking me everywhere with her, and I'm just so thankful for Meg. So.
I love you.
I love you.
Kelsey, you know, I don't think many people realize, you know, just what an honor it is to make the national team, and to make the national team and to get to wear the the USA across your chest and across your back, you know, it's well deserved. But if you could, maybe just tell us what that means, but also what it means to be here in Romania with your teammates, and just kind of this whole experience so far.
It's been like a fever dream, like hanging out with the people that I've been hanging out with Meg and Joy, who's a celebrity, who's been hyping me up, and oh my God, like it's been crazy. And I knew going into this, like my numbers probably weren't enough to get me on the podium, and that's not like a loser mentality. It's like I'm simply not able to attempt what they're going for. But the fact that all the lifters here got me out of my head, they're like, dude, like you're here. They didn't disrespect me because I was ranked so low and they were ranked so high. And like that helped. My first day here, to like lifting with all of them, like I got a little discouraged because I'm like, dude, they're younger than me. They weigh less probably, and they're repping out my third attempt. But I pulled out of it. And again, I just remembered what it means to really be here. Like so many people dream of being here. And here I am moping around in Romania. So I kicked myself in the butt. I'm like, no, from here on out, like full spirits, I'm here to do what I want to do.
And if I may, I think watching the way, you know, we traveled in together on Friday and Saturday, and seeing the way that you've kind of navigated that and processed those emotions and set yourself up for success, and then also seeing the support that you've been surrounded with because of the personality that you have and the person that you are, and seeing you walk over to the girls after your third deadlift and have that hug.
That was crazy. That was like,
I'm pretty sure Paul has footage. I hope he does.
I hope so. I didn't really cry
No.
during my meet until they all came over and hugged me. I was like, wow, the fact that they were all there watching me.
And that's it, to the point. I
crazy.
think that's what's so special about this meet, about this team, about this entire experience is the people that you're surrounded by and the memories that you walk away with. You're not going to remember as much the numbers that you hit as the people that you're surrounded by and those moments that you share with those people, and getting to see you experience that. Incredible.
Like
Incredible.
special shout out my girl Chelsea. I think you probably thought I was super weird yesterday, but you you came up, you hyped me up. I heard you every single attempt, and for that I'm so thankful. And I can't wait to see what you do on the platform. I'll be there just as loud too.
If I can. Oh, it was just, she said just as loud, and I said, me too, if I can.
Yeah.
If I have a voice left.
Are there any other questions for Kelsey? Anyone else want to ask anything? Kelsey, so you achieved your goal. You made it to the World Championship. You made all these new friends. And so what's next on your agenda?
So unfortunately, this is my last year as a junior, but I'm not done. Like, I'm in this sport as long as I possibly can, even though it's going to take a long time to, like I might not make it to Worlds next year, but that's not going to discourage me. Like, it took me this long to get here this time. Like, it's not going to change, so just rebuild, hit the squats I know I can hit, and I'm going to do this as long as I can.
And are there any people back home that you want to thank?
Oh my God, so many. So, I mean, first and foremost, my current coach right now, Chrissy Paraki, she couldn't be here today, but she was a celebrity, like an idol of mine, and I never thought she would ever respond to my email, and she did. And for the last 2 years, she's been my best friend, my coach. She's got that same crackhead energy that I've got, and she's helped me so much. And she called me after my squats, hyped me up, reminded me that, like, it's such an honor to be here. And so my spicy little Italian coach that is just looks like the Hulk, I love her so much. And my old coach, Lisa Clifford, she watched me too. That meet where I was 16 and I didn't know what I was doing, she pulled me aside and goes, "Kid, you have so much potential, but you need help. Let me help you." So she coached me for 4+ years, and I still talk to her very frequently. So if she wouldn't have believed in me that day when I was an absolute basket case, I don't know if I'd be here. So my mom, who lives in Texas, who I hardly get to see. She's my best friend, my dad, all my friends. People at Champion, my new gym that I work at, my dream job, I love all of them. People at Velocity, my old gym, and dude, just so many people. Like, I am blessed to have everybody in my corner.
And the last question is just, what do you think it is about powerlifting that makes it so special?
Makes it so special? Well, it gave me something to like set myself aside from everyone else. So I did this 6.5 years ago, and it wasn't that big of a sport. So it turned a lot of heads, and people were like, okay. And it gave me the confidence I needed when softball was my love, and when I continuously just felt beat down by it, like I always turned to powerlifting, and I made new friends, and I had people who were freaking 200 pounds with tattoos everywhere giving me hugs and picking me up, and I was like, wow, this is awesome, man. Like, I love it. I'm never going to stop.
All right, Kelsey, if there's no other questions for her, we're going to let you go. You were a huge inspiration today, overcoming adversity. We're really proud of you, and we can't wait to see you back on a powerlifting platform again soon.
Thank you. I'm going to be here with my energy.
Yeah.
I was ranked 15 out of 18. I finished 14 out of 18. I would have been much better if it weren't for my squats, but I still defied the odds a little bit, and so.
A lot of it. I've broken a lot of people, and you didn't let it break you.
LFG.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, let's go. We'll hear you out there in the crowd cheering on the rest of the lifters this week. Congrats again.
Thank you. Let's go.
Okay, next up, we have the youngest lifter on the Powerlifting America national team here in Romania, and that is Eva Polini in the 63 kilo sub-junior weight class, fresh off of, and her game day coach and her programming coach, Casey Calderon. And and Eva, you're famous because you're super young, for one, and for two, you already competed on the equipped side and took a podium spot. And then now you've competed again today on the classic side. And first question is just, which one do you like better, and which performance did you prefer? And just tell us, what's the difference between the two sessions that you were in?
I had a much better outcome in my equipped lifting, so I gotta say I liked it better for this meet. I don't know if I'm gonna continue doing both, but as of right now, I like equipped more. Raw just wasn't my day today, but I don't know. I think equipped just has more it's funner. I don't know. I enjoy it more.
Your coaches are all smiling over here. They're very happy to be hearing those words. What do you think makes it more fun?
The fact you can do more weight than you're used to. It's not as popular as raw, which is a big argument, but who cares?
I like that. That's great. And so, rating your performance, you gave us a very clear and concise numbered ratings on your performances after your equipped performance. How do you rate your performance today?
I didn't like it. I'll give it a 6 out of 10.
A 6 out of 10?
Sure.
Well, that's not that bad. I mean, I think you rated your equipped performance a 7 out of 10. So just one spot lower. That's not too bad.
Remember, her ratings are based on how many attempts she actually got. So.
You made more than 6 attempts today, didn't you?
1, 2, nope, 6. She did walk away today with a 3rd place in the squat. She actually climbed up in standings. You were ranked, I think, 6th or 7th going in, and she tied for 4th, but lost on body weight. So she finished 5th today, which is better than her meet in Turkey last year, in both in amount of attempts and total and just where she finished. So, I mean, even after, this is just a few days after competing equipped. Yeah. So she's, I mean, her body's tired, whether she wants to believe it or not.
Did you feel that your equipped performance might have zapped your classic performance a little bit?
I don't think the fact that competing equipped 3 days before and doing raw the day after affected it that much. I think it was more the prep. The prep was mainly focused on equipped, and when you are running a equipped cycle, your raw numbers drop. So I just, like, not enough attention to my raw. Like, my numbers were very similar to last year, if not lower. Maybe my bench was higher, but I think that's it. So just not a whole lot of improvement there.
And then at Nationals in Scottsdale, you did the reverse, and right, you competed classic first. Is that right?
Yeah.
Casey?
And not in Scottsdale. We did high school nationals in Scranton.
Oh, that's right. It was in Scranton.
Yeah. But, that was, that was fun in itself, because our high school state meet is equipped. So on a Friday afternoon, she lifted equipped. The following Friday, after traveling to Scranton, lifted a full raw meet, and then the next day did another equipped meet. Now, she did, finish at the top of the podium at all three, which is, text her parents, I was like, your daughter's a badass. And she's very hard on herself when it comes to, like, where she finishes and how she finishes, the attempts that she gets, but she is very much like an inspiration to a lot of people, and she doesn't even realize it, because she knows that she can do more than what, the output that she's seeing, but she's doing awesome.
Yeah, people that know of Eva Polini are extremely inspired by her, for sure. Eva, on the day today, what was it that you're leading yourself to rate your performance so low? What lift in particular were you hoping to get more out of?
I wanted more on squat, especially since that's probably my best lift, and I did more at nationals than I did today. I just couldn't get depth. Well, I didn't get depth on the first one. The second one I didn't, but I got overruled, so that was white lights. And then third I got it,
But you wanted more?
I just wanted more weight.
She always wants more.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to hand it over here to the head coach, or I'll head it over here to the assistant coach, Tom.
So Paul just said people who know Eva Polini are very inspired by her. I'd just like to say people who know Eva Polini are terrified of her. Simply because most people have absolutely no idea what it takes to do what you have done more than once. So my question is actually going to start for Casey. Explain a little bit to people who may be watching this, friends and family, what does it take physically, just in general terms, to compete in a full equipped meet and a full classic meet within 4 days without really having any special recovery done, simply just a little bit of rest and a little bit of food?
I'm just going to refer back to she's a badass. Really, it was hard. I mean, the travel here, she competed just a couple days after we got here, after 24 hours of travel to be here. And then, I told her the day she lifted that evening, I said, I'm going to let you sleep all day tomorrow, So it was really just, there was a day in there, she did like a light SBD kind of stretch workout just so she wasn't completely stiff. But today it was very much how are you feeling? It was a lot of communication about what numbers she was thinking to open with. We kind of had an idea going in, but, just knowing that she was coming so close off the equipped meet, we're like, okay, really, how are you feeling today? What are you thinking you're going to pull off today? Because the numbers that she did on the platform today, she's done before. She's done more than that before. So we know she's capable of more, which I think is why she's so frustrated, but she shouldn't be completely frustrated. I'll let you have a little bit. How about that? Okay.
And so now, second part of the question for Eva. We talked a little bit after your meet, and I know you're not satisfied. And that's one of the things that we love about you, is because you could have a whole handful of medals and you're still not going to be satisfied. So here's my question, and I'm going to repeat it to you in a year or two when we're sitting here again. What will satisfy you in a press conference post-meet when you're sitting there and you have accomplished what?
All 4 gold.
Now I have it on record. Good. Excellent.
Hi, Eva, your best friend here.
Hi.
So I know we chatted a little bit about doing both raw and equipped, and I guess this is a question for both you and Casey, but can you kind of explain how you all both decided that that was the right way to go for Worlds, and kind of just that decision-making process? How did you kind of present that to your parents also? I mean, Casey, for you, like, how did you present that to her parents as well? How did that kind of look?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I was excited to do equipped, not as excited to do raw. I didn't want to do raw, but Casey convinced me just to do it for at least the experience. And I mean, I'm glad I did it, but.
And that's pretty much what it came down to. She was an alternate for the classic team. And, you know, when it came up, the question, you know, is she going to do it? She was definitely doing equipped, but when it came to classic, it was, she had the option, and then we kind of talked about, you know, what is that prep going to look like? And we just did more warm up, more raw sets, and then switched straight into gear when it got like too heavy for raw. So the prep was a little tricky, but we ultimately decided it was kind of, you're not going to walk away from it learning nothing. So we kind of came into it as we knew this was going to be a learning experience, and she got another medal out of it. And knowing what she's capable of, and knowing that there was a new record today, and knowing how close she could be to doing that, might, I don't know, we're going to have some more conversations in the upcoming weeks and months.
So another question, like kind of just to go off of that, and I kind of asked it in the first one, I guess, but I know last year, Eva, you didn't have any family with you, you know.
Yeah, so having him there to tell me, like, you need to eat this, or let's go eat real food. I mean, I definitely built up my strength, definitely didn't lose as much weight as I did last year. It's been easier with him here. It's nice just having someone there, but.
So Eva, you know, I know you didn't have the squat day you wanted, but I did just want to say, during squats, I was actually excited. Number one, you know, you made the adjustment to get your squat on the second attempt, got it on your a bigger number on your third attempt, which is, it's always good to see athletes make the adjustments that they need to make. But what really got me excited about it was knowing that the world record is only about 20 kilos above what you did today, and knowing that you have 2 more years of sub-juniors, I can't help but get like crazy excited knowing that you're gonna blow that record out the water if you continue to do some raw lifting. So I just wanted to mention that that's crazy to me. knowing how young you are, and you're already so close to those world record numbers. So that was just a comment.
A question off of that, Eva, does that get you fired up to think about, wanting to shatter that world record? Because from what I've heard, you're already capable of hitting that amount of weight, and you have 2 more years to obviously get much stronger, and you could really push that record out of reach for anyone. It could stand for years and years to come.
I am really excited. I think next year it really just comes down to, I need to pick between raw or equipped, so I can give my 100% to either one, because giving 75% equipped and then 75% to raw, it's I want to give 100% to one and hopefully win, break records. So, but yeah, I'm really excited that I'm so close to the raw record of squat, which I have hit in training before, but like I said, raw just wasn't there today.
Yeah, it wasn't there today, but I think we all see it in your future. Eva, you're not a very social person, so I'm curious. Did you make friends with anyone at this meet? Did you go out and what was the best part of this competition for you besides the actual competition itself?
I'm just not the most social person. Everyone was super, super sweet, so that's really encouraging. They're really encouraging as well. I don't know,
Did you enjoy?
I kind of kept to myself most of the time, but.
Well, obviously you needed a rest because you're doing 2 meets in one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a smart move, is to, kind of keep to yourself. But these last few days while you're here, is there anything that you're looking forward to doing, or anything that you're looking forward to experiencing while you're in Romania?
Lots of Romania is just looking at things. I mean, it's interesting, but it's just not my favorite thing to do. I'd rather be doing something fun.
What would be doing something fun for you?
Actually doing something, I don't know. I just don't like looking at.
You just want to go back to.
statues.
You just want to go back to training.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's hard to make her take breaks. It really is. So the more we can get her to do while she's here, the longer she's at least taking a break.
Seems like you've made a special connection with Alex Chavez.
Yeah, my best friend.
We got it on record.
It's
we
on
got it on
record.
record.
You might not have been together for 2 weeks and last year. She talked to me twice.
What do you think about?
She counted.
What do you think about all of the media that Powerlifting America is doing, and their media person? I heard he's pretty cool.
Paul, yeah, he's all right.
Yes. All right. Well, I'm all right. And with that, I think we'll let Eva go. We'll stop torturing her. Does anyone else have any questions for Eva? Oh, yeah. Kelsey's got a question here.
It's on. Let's go. I just want to say I have a lot of respect for you for doing both. And I'm also shy, but believe it or not, I'm wicked shy. So we're going to go explore, and you should come with us if you want. We'd love that.
Okay.
But
Thank
mad
you.
respect. I hope you liked my pre-workout, too.
Yes, very sweet.
Let's go.
All right, Eva. Is there any other questions for Eva? All right, Eva. We'll stop torturing you, and we'll let you go back to sleeping in until 2 p.m., which I know is probably your favorite thing to do here in Romania. So, and we hope that we'll see you out there in the crowd a little bit, cheering on some of the other lifters, and maybe running around like crazy with Kelsey Scanovan and some other people your age. And if not, then with Alex Chavez, and having some fun while you're here in Romania, because you deserve it. You had 2 really good performances, and everyone here is extremely proud of you. So we're looking forward to see what you do next. So congratulations.
Thank you.